The number one reason that franchise businesses fail is because people don't follow the system. The number one reason that businesses fail in general is because people run out of money before they really figure out how to make money. Since in a franchise, you're not trying to figure anything out, this shouldn't happen, but it could happen. To avoid this costly mistake, stay right here. %90 of small businesses fail before their 5th anniversary. But that is not a statistic that's owned in franchising. In fact, every business that you look at that's a franchise must disclose their success or failure rate to you in their franchise disclosure document. This franchise disclosure document is mandated by the Federal Trade Commission, and it allows you, the potential investor, to full disclosure about the opportunity. So before you invest in the franchise, you can see what their track record of success has been. Additionally, in the franchise disclosure document, there is detailed information about the cost to open a franchise unit. In other videos on this channel, I've talked about how to use the FDD and how not to use the FDD to your advantage. But the idea is that there is detailed financial information in item 7 of the franchise disclosure document on what it's going to cost on average to open one of these franchise units. And then in item 19, there are detailed financials or an earnings claim about how the average unit performs. So when you say yes to a franchise business, you have in writing, in a federally mandated document, approximations of what it's going to cost to get something up and operating and approximately what kind of money this business can make. But as the daily coach, I am going to tell you that I don't want you to use the numbers in the FDD as the only thing to decide how much money it's going to cost to get a business up and operating. The most important thing I want you to do is to validate with existing franchise owners. All of the other people who've come before you have what you want. They've already opened a store and they can share with you in their experience how much it cost them to get the store open, how long it took, how much working capital they had to put into this thing to get it to a positively cash flowing place. So because a franchise discloses to you the investment parameters, and because we have franchise owners that we can validate numbers with, this makes franchising a safer investment than entrepreneurship. But it's still not a guarantee because it's what you do with the system that will determine the level of success that you have in your franchise business. So if running out of money is the number one mistake to avoid, I'm going to call this next tip 1B. The 1B part of avoiding this costly mistake is to not go into your business over-leveraged. It's a very common thought by candidates that they want to leverage somebody else's money rather than using their own when they start a franchise business. And there's nothing wrong with that. The point I want to make is that if you go in over-leveraged, and let's say that you need cash flow from this business in order to pay your mortgage, well, when that initial cash flow is coming out of the business, that has to go back to pay your business partner, AKA the bank. So if you go in highly leveraged with a loan and that business has to pay that loan back, then there is going to be a delay in when you get to take cash out of the business. But if you bought this franchise because you need to make money sooner rather than later, you're going to end up in that number one mistake, which is running out of money. So as you're doing your due diligence and you're thinking about how you're going to fund your business, absolutely talk to financial lenders to get an idea of what all of your options are. But if you're trying to cash flow sooner rather than later, please keep in mind that the bank has to get paid back first. And if you really want to avoid that number one mistake, please email me so that I can be your daily coach.